if the city council is seen as dabbling in the affairs of the school system, it will be accused of being in the way of school reform. There are people who will say that, see, this is the problem we had before, micromanaging the school system, that if the school's chancellor and Mayor Fenty cannot do what they like to do, which obviously is get rid of some more teachers, then the city council, if the school system doesn't do as well as we would like it to, stands accused of being the ones responsible for the failure.
Well, I don't think there's any evidence that we've been dabbling into the affairs of the school system or that we've been micromanaging. They have moved forward with this. We were pulled into this because I think the council was scapegoated in terms of saying, well, we're doing this, these rifts because of council budget cuts. It wasn't as if the council leapt out there and said, we're going to inject ourselves into the middle of this. The reality is that the council approved a budget on July 31st. That was the last action that we took on the Budget Request Act. And then it wasn't until 6 or 7 weeks later that we started to hear these issues. And what's interesting is the mayor actually signed off on this budget around the 3rd or 4th week in August. He vetoed one line item that had absolutely nothing to do with this issue. What I find interesting, if this was a cataclysmic problem as is now being portrayed, why didn't he veto that portion of the budget because of the impact it was going to have? Why were 900 teachers hired if you knew that you had financial problems?
Isn't true, but I mean, to be fair to the
Running
Chancellor,
out of time very quickly.
Having to hire 900 teachers, you don't start that process in August. You've started that process much earlier in the year.
Well, a lot of those teachers, though, aren't brought on until, late into the summer. And the reality is, Mike, as you well know, Kojo, you well know, the council took its budget action on July 31st. And again, when you go back and look at the numbers, I cannot to this day make the connection between those numbers and the precipitous action that's being taken apparently on, we don't know how many teachers, but apparently
as I said, we're running out of time, but I want to talk to David in Washington, D.C., because I think he is going to say what I just alluded to. David, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Kojo. I have to say I'm a parent of 2 D.C. school children, and we are very pleased with the Chancellor. And what I fear I'm hearing today from the council chairman is more of the old talk that got us in this place to start with, protecting the teachers who are not that good in some cases at the expense of the students. And I was hoping as a city we had started to move beyond that somewhat. Now, I know the chairman has personal difficulties with the mayor, and that's something those two guys have to work out. But what I'm seeing is good, and what I hear the chairman is there's oversight and there's nitpicking. And I just...
Well, as I said, we don't have much time. Allow me to have Chairman Gray respond.
Well, I don't agree that this is nitpicking. I think the council was pulled into this. The council said nothing about any of this along the way. We were pulled into this because the chancellor and the mayor asserted that the reason why they were taking these steps is because of council budget cuts. And I take exception to that because that is simply not borne out by the facts. That is not micromanagement. That is not nitpicking. That is simply responding to an assertion that was lodged at the council.